Garlic Parmesan bread. Goes with pretty much anything, right? You can just use a small serrated knife like I do to cut up the butter. That seems to be the easiest. It doesn't have to be brought to room temperature first or anything like that. You can just cut it up straight out of the fridge. Now I like to spread the pieces around in the blender so it's a little easier to blend everything up evenly more quickly. Don't forget that somewhere in here you're going to want to get the oven turned on to 425 so it's ready to go. Oops, I accidentally knocked that container off the bottom of the grater, but it happens, you know. I like to keep it real here. Do be sure to watch your knuckles, because those graters will make hamburger out of your knuckles, besides shredding your cheese. What I like to do is keep turning so I've got an edge against the grater, and that seems to work the best to gain some traction and get more cheese going in the grater. It's easier if you're grating an edge than a flat side, if that makes sense. So I just keep turning it so I can get a corner or an edge. Can't let any go to waste, right? On second thought, I'm going to pick up that chunk of cheese and go to grating again. Let's add some more Parmesan in. I thought it turned out spectacular. Now, some people don't care for Parmesan on their bread, so they may get a little finicky about it. Me, I don't understand or relate to people who have a problem with Parmesan. So, for me, the more the better. The recipe calls for a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, so I just eyeballed it. Heaven help me, I did not use freshly minced garlic. I cheated and spooned garlic out of a jar. Still tasted spectacular. Here was another cheat. You know, sometimes you think you have everything and then you find out there was something missing. So, a little sprinkle of lemon juice, and there we had our lemon flavoring. I just sprinkled a little bit of kosher salt in my palm and spread that around over the contents. And here we go, time to mix. It's okay if you have to play with the tools and the recipe a little bit. It took me a minute to figure out what kind of consistency I wanted to be seeing on the inside of that blender. So basically I kept blending and then figured I would know it when I saw it. And there you go. I just picked up a crusty loaf from Dillon's and it worked great. I was really happy with the consistency and the texture. I was able to just make one nice long slow pull for each cut. The only thing is you'll want to be sure that you have a serrated knife when you go to serve so you can finish cutting the rest of the way through the loaf. I went ahead and got my loaf moved over onto the aluminum foil on the pan so then I could go ahead and start buttering and didn't have to worry about a mess or anything running anywhere. That way everything was all ready to go, which it didn't end up being messy, but you know, better safe than sorry. After the initial pass, I decided to go ahead and make another pass because when you're doing something like this, you don't want to stint on flavor. If you're making something, which I mean, you're not baking the loaf, but when you're making something like this and going to the trouble to sort of make it from scratch, it's kind of a waste if the flavor isn't really there in a big way. So, if in doubt, I'm not going to stint on flavor. Okay, time for the oven. Bake 15 minutes total with the last 5 minutes uncovered. Voila, there it is.